A cartoon for Transformers.
We'd gotten along with Hasbro so well that they thought, well, okay, you don't want to do another movie? How about, they were already thinking, what about a show? And we immediately thought that was interesting. Just immediately knew we were going to be able to do things that we wouldn't be able to do in the movies, and knew because of the movies that we would attract basically the best people, and that's why we ended up with just the most amazing people doing the show. I mean, that's why it's so good. We knew we could really use that momentum to get something amazing going.
Awesome.
For all of you, what's the most challenging part of doing this show? Is it the resources? Is it the schedule? What's the greatest challenge that you guys face?
Yes.
Yes to all that.
No. All the resources they want. Easy schedule to listen to them.
No, it's like I said up there. I mean, for the first year, it was just insane because it was do the thing in 10 months that usually takes 2 years to do. And it's a testament to all these guys that they didn't just pull it off, they pulled it off and did something that was beyond anybody's expectations of what they were going to be able to do.
Everyone was so passionate with the project,
Yeah.
I have been on other shows where we were asked to do that, and sometimes it shows. But in this case, everyone believed in the studio.
Just launching is hard. Just launching, getting going,
I have to say, Bob and Alex, Jeff Klein, who couldn't be here, actually this whole team sitting at the table, went out and reached for the best of the best in the business. I mean, we really do have the number one animation team
We do.
in the business, and we would never have gotten to where we are if we didn't have this amazing A-team, and it is a real testament to Bob, Alex, Jeff, the whole team, everybody.
It is a high quality show.
I think aside from the resources and the budget and the things that every animated show has, in one way or another, I think one of the biggest challenges with Transformers specifically is you've got a long history of awesomeness that you're trying to live up to, and I think everybody in one way or the other coming to the show knew that, they were excited to make their mark on something like Transformers, but it's also a little intimidating. It's like, how are we going to do this cooler than whatever my favorite version of Transformers was? And I think, again, a testament to all these guys that, it really does pay off. I mean, the fans all resoundingly in the past couple of days here at BotCon have come up and said, this is amazing, and everything we wanted them to say. Like, characters are deeper, we really feel more for them, like we really feel like we know these guys more, we really love the history, the mythology you're creating, so I think that's the biggest challenge, and I think that you guys have done it with flying colors.
Yeah, having grown up on the show and seeing what you guys have done with this new animated series, it's just fanboying me. It's like, you guys nailed it. I mean, I almost enjoy this show more than I enjoyed the animated series when I was a kid, growing up. So you guys...
Somebody told me just after the presentation, a young woman came up to me and she said, thanks for making a show that I can now sit and watch not only with my son, but my mom as well.
Yeah, I'll watch it with my kids too, which is awesome.
And they have a generational conversation about the shows. It becomes a rallying point for a wonderful family event. I mean, you couldn't ask for more than that.
And they really did give us the resources. You guys, we joke about it, but they really did invest and support the show.
I think a lot of times with animation that's targeted at kids or families, people are afraid to tell a mature, character-driven story because a lot of times you talk to executives, you talk to people that are like, well, let's make sure it's kid appropriate, let's make sure that kids get every single reference, let's make sure they understand it. And I think, Dwayne said it best today is they were really going for a show that had themes and ideas and character stories that adults would really resonate with, but then it's funny, it's cool, it's kid appropriate, so you don't have to worry about watching it with your kids. I think, it really is that dual level thing that makes it a deeper show.
Yep.
Speaking of just this versus the older shows, I find one of the things that really makes the new show work, and also with G.I. Joe as well, you guys have pulled together, like, if not as quite as deep, the best voice cast since Sunbow.
Yeah. Yes.
How do you, obviously there was a focus in putting together the whole Hasbro Studios concept thing, but how did you guys manage to pull it together where it feels like, again, like the old shows, like, if not in sort of having, necessarily 30 guys voicing in an episode, but of that quality?
Well, and I gotta just say one thing there. When Dwayne and we first went into that recording studio, I remember we were with Jeff talking, been on tons and tons of shows, each of us, never seen the actors click to where somebody's job is done, they hang around.
Yeah.
Everyone
really love each
stays.
other. It is a
Everyone's
family.
giving each other hugs. And I mean, this has been probably the most tightly knit cast I've ever worked with in animation, and I think it shows on the screen. You know, in their interactions.
And I think it's the same thing that the show has, but the actors have it. It's a sense of old and new. It's a sense of legacy. You got Peter and Frank there, sort of carrying the torch, so you really feel like it's branded as this is the real deal. This is official Transformers. And then you have people like Somali come in and take RC and just own it.
Because Peter's take on Optimus is that true and tried, you know, he is as old as history itself. Our take on RC is sort of a fresh take, so we had to cast new in a way. So I think Michael's right; it absolutely works. That
Frank,
way.
I met Frank for the first time on this show, and I actually had advocated for him online during the movies. And he actually came up and said, "Hey, I wanted to thank you for being my advocate online." I was like, "You're reading those message boards?" I didn't say anything too dumb, and it was just amazing that I'd been a fan of his forever, and then for him to have come in and said, you know, he felt really respected, and that's why he wanted to come back.
Speaking of, I mean, just off of something that was said in the panel, granted this is my own little thing, but for Soundwave, keeping him silent, I would die if when he eventually does speak sometime off in the future, if it's Frank with the vocoder voice on, just for like just for the one line, and then that's the only time ever, and
I would love that.
that would
too.
leave me like,
Well, take that
struggled
into
with sound,
consideration.
yes.
Yeah. You did notice that the vocoder is there as a very subtle effect whenever he plays back. So that was sort of our nod
Yeah, I was
in the
talking
meantime.
to you that in Transformers, the live-action movie with Soundwave, they use the Frank Welker voice, but they don't put the vocoder on
it's
it.
the Dr. Claw.
It's Dr. Claw, so it's like Dr. Claw voice. And we did the opposite in our shows. We don't have the voice, but we
have
use
the
the
vocoder.
vocoder, which I think is actually awesome. I love hearing my geek boy thing. Like that's where I get excited every time he says anything. Just hearing that vocoder thing underneath it, I'm like, that's so cool.
Me too.
But it seems to be one of our more controversial decisions on the boards. You know, people either seem to love that or hate it. You know, so it's.
I mean, like from my perspective, is like if he ever does do it, it's like that big huge payoff thing. Oh my God, I missed that. Did you do that again for the kid? Because I missed it on the camera now.
One of my favorite things about the show is you guys start right off the bat with like the 5-part miniseries, which we don't really see very often these days. You know, we saw it with the old Transformers cartoon, but it's sort of like right off the bat you start off with basically a feature-length movie, and how challenging was to do 5-part like miniseries right off the bat and get it done by Thanksgiving last year.
It nearly killed me. It nearly killed Dave. It nearly killed a lot of Japanese.
I mean, especially
very bad for these guys.
especially because
You were on
when you're doing
vacation.
it that way, these guys had to come out of the bat with the majority of the characters designed. I mean, like just from a build standpoint for Polygon, when you do a movie like that, you really front load so much of the design.
Yeah.
And because these guys are crazy, you then have stuff like Dave saying, we could fit a battle with 70-plus zombie robots in there in the 4th episode. It's fine.
You can do that, right, Polygon?
Get that in there.
You know, listen, all kidding aside, though, we also had an amazing partner in Polygon. I mean, I can't remember Shuzo saying no, literally, to anything. I mean, he really tried to
they really
make everything
pulled it
work.
through.
They go the extra mile.
And it, the thing about having the best crew and a passionate crew extends to them. Like, we went to Japan to just kind of see the first couple of episodes in rough, like just layout form. And the pride that these guys take in Transformers is insane. I mean, and that's why, like they were talking about, the acting is just ridiculous. Like, for me, as visually cool as it looks, as much as, the reflection of the bots and the detail and everything is amazing, for me, it's 100% the acting. Like, when I see
They're
that kind of
invested
acting.
in the show.
Yeah.
I mean, we consider them as a partner more than as a work for hire.
Yeah.
Right.
Bob, in getting to write like sort of an ongoing episodic cartoon rather than just one movie, did you and Alex have any specific ideas you put into this series you maybe wanted to do in the live-action movies but didn't get the chance to do?
Did we? I can't remember
Absolutely.
anymore.
Oh yeah, They were feeding us all kinds of ideas, and a lot of them got in. Some of them we were like, can't do that, just because of the physical nature of the production.
Anything specific that did get in?
What did I get in there?
Let's see. You wanted the battle in space. You got it.
That's
That-
right.
That ended
Yeah.
the five-parter, for instance.
Right.
So the battle
Yeah.
by the space parade.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that we couldn't do, if that's okay. They really wanted a Autobot that transformed into a train, and because of the nature of the limited CG
That was
builds-
Alex.
That was Alex,
I
yep.
didn't want that.
I just want the car wash.
That's part of the car wash.
However, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, in polygon terms, that is actually 3 builds, because you have the bot, and then the actual transformation is actually considered a character build, and then the vehicle itself. So we said we
Three
can't.
separate models.
Yeah, we can't do that on a train unless you literally want a train running around in the series. And I said, however, we'll give you a train, and we'll give you an awesome set piece, and we did with Optimus stopping the train in the convoy.
Convoy.
And obviously Frank as Megatron was a big thing I always wanted.
Yeah.
Bill, I don't know if you can speak on this at all, but we are going to see toys eventually for Prime and Renegades. Did it make it harder to market these shows, without having toys on the shelves when the hub and these shows got started?
No, I mean, look, I think that the show lives independent of what we do at retail. And we're all about making great stories with great characters, which clearly these guys have done. And the rest of it, comes along.
But why wait a year to show the toys, after the shows have already started?
A lot of it is timing. I mean, we were 10 months to get the series done is crazy, but for the toy team, I mean, they've got such a long lead on modeling and figuring it out. I mean, I think that, and you'll see with the strategy that we have with a lot of our shows coming out, sometimes we'll work it out where toy will come out at the same time or just before, and sometimes you'll wait a year, but I think
But
with
you
Prime,
want to make sure there's demand too, probably.
Yeah.
But
Rather
they're also
people go
working
wild.
off our lead. They have
That's right.
to wait till we get our designs completed for those first 5 episodes before they can even start looking at how they're even going to physically
and
create
it's
these things.
just looking at the stuff that's out there right now, I think it's worth the wait. I mean, they did such a good job. I mean, if you just go out there and look at the booth, you look at that Starscream toy, and you're like, that literally is Starscream from the show.
Going back to the characters, which characters kind of surprised you as you went along the process of writing them? Which characters started as something conceptually, and as you wrote them, kind of changed and surprised you, and kind of went in a different
I
direction?
love Ratchet.
I was going to say Ratchet. Ratchet's the
Jeffrey
biggest surprise to
Combs
me.
Yep.
Jeffrey Combs has become that character.
Yeah. It's so hard to pick a favorite, but he might be it. I mean, but then there's Starscream. It's like,
Steve Blum does.
For me, it's like, there's a certain expectation with some characters, and there's other ones that surprise you. Like, Starscream, you have to make him awesome. Like, that's just a given. Like, you better make Starscream awesome or you failed. And RC, I was like, from early on, I was like, I think RC is going to be pretty badass. I think she'll be really cool. Ratchet, I was like, okay, yeah, the old medic guy, he'll be cool, he'll be all right, he'll be kind of funny. And then all of a sudden, I'm watching the show, and I'm like, this is the greatest robot ever. Like, he's amazing. Jeffrey Combs just really, and a lot of times that's what happens is you have a great character, but then the actor comes in and embodies it so fully that you start writing more to that character. And I think you can talk to that.
And by the way, Jeffrey Combs is not acting. that is it. I was trying to say that yesterday when I introduced him, but he's basically playing himself.
I noticed that also a lot with I forget the actress's name, but the Keiko.
Miko,
Miko,
yes,
sorry, the
yes.
Miko. The actress was disturbingly similar
I'm
to.
mad that she actually, do you know she actually bought the Miko outfit and was going to wear it yesterday, and then she chickened out and didn't do it.
Oh,
She
wow.
has them, and she looks like Miko, she acts like Miko. When you talk to her in real life, you literally expect her to go run through a ground bridge and cause some kind of trouble.
Yeah, I got to shout out to the humans too, because it's always a tough thing when you're dealing with a fan base in terms of Transformers, and I love the 3 characters that we came up with to interact with the Transformers. I think they're somehow perfect, and yet they weren't born out of gimmicks. They were like, who do we want in there, and what's a good little kind of family that can be there.
I remember the very first meeting, I think, when we all went in, and you and Alex and Jeff, and we all wanted to sit down with Margaret at the hub to pitch it, and the first thing you guys said was, if the movie franchise is about a boy in his car, we want this series to be about 3 kids and their bots, and really kind of getting to that Iron Giant kind of feel, and I think that's where the big success is. I think I was speaking with Ted Biaselli, who works at the hub, yesterday, and he, at Comic-Con last year, moderated the panel, and when he showed all of the images, you show Optimus, people cheer, you show Megatron, people yeah, then you show the 3 kids, and everybody booed. And he actually said, because that's the expectation, it's like, oh, kids and Transformers. And Ted said, at that panel, he's like, I know you guys are booing, I know the history of kids, I'm telling you, when you see these kids in this show, it's going to change your mind about kids and Transformers. And then one of the girls yesterday in the panel actually said, thank you for these kids. They're the coolest kids in Transformers.
They're
We
funny.
love them. They're great.
Yeah.
And visually, it's always difficult to replicate great looks in humans, in
Yeah.
CG particularly. And obviously the bots are awesome, but the
Yeah.
kids are awesome too.
Tell them about Polygon and Miko.
Well, what I can. No, they absolutely love the Miko character. And they're always giving her like a little extra, I would say.
If in a storyboard, Miko goes, "All right." You get the animation back from Polygon, and she dumps it. Yeah, all right. They just plus it constantly.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, I think we might have to pull back a little bit.
My favorite is in Convoy, in that last shot, like Optimus is talking. And I think you guys pulled it back a little bit, but it's still there. Like, I think all she did in the animatic is like they're just talking to each other. And as you're pulling back in Convoy, you can see them in the train, and
Right.
Optimus is sitting there. And there's this moment where, for no reason at all, they're not even speaking, but like they're just kind of talking, and then Miko just hauls up and punches back. It's like, all right, awesome.
I want to add that, the original concept was going to be a series about, 3 kids and their bots, that, like you said, the Iron Giant times 3 thing. And it's sort of a testament just to like the way these things are sort of take on a life of their own, that the series now lives and breathes. And we do episodes without the kids and nobody misses them, and vice versa. We do kid-centric episodes, but, the bots, I think, have become, no pun intended, sort of fully fleshed out in ways that we never dreamed. They're living, breathing characters, and this fear of not having the kids around has gone away,
And I think a lot of times with Transformers, we put a kid in it because some executive said you need that kid entry point and the kid has to be there, but you don't really have a role for the kid. And I think even in just looking at where you guys are breaking story and like ultimately where Prime is going as a series, because we sort of discussed, what the end of Prime is too. And I mean, the kids, it's about the bots growing, but it's about the kids growing, and everyone has a role to play and everyone has an arc. And I think that's what makes it amazing. It's not, here's the annoying kid who has to be here for X marketing reason. Every character who's in the
Cousin
show is
Oliver.
there for a reason.
It's a natural relationship.
But they also have vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
as opposed to other shows where the kids come in and it's, they're completely tough. They know exactly what to do, and everyone's talking, oh, cool, these kids actually have vulnerabilities, and there are
That's what I
stakes with them.
Because Miko obviously is a divisive character with the fans. Like some people are like, I love Miko, she's amazing, and some people are like, I really hope Bulkhead would not see her one day and step on her. So someone actually said that to me in the booth. But what I was talking to some people about is
Be a
like,
running gag. You almost
stepped on me. But the thing about Miko is, it's what you said. She actually acts the way that a teenage girl would act. I mean, if a kid was in the midst of this battle, they would sometimes do some things. And actually, my favorite part, I told you this in the 5-parter that launched the episode, and something I'd never seen when it came to kids, was that shot that you put in there when they were on the Nemesis, and the troopers are coming in, and then Bumblebee and RC and Bulkhead just rush in to save them. But it was the first time in the movies, in anything, I'd ever seen that a kid's perspective of being in the middle of a giant robot fight, where the explosion went off and all the sound kind of like went out.
Fog of war.
Yeah, it was that fog of war. It was that fog of war moment, and it was this totally disorienting thing because you were just with the kid perspective and you couldn't even really see the fight, and there's like heads falling and Bumblebees running, and they all felt really sick and like dizzy, and it was like, yeah, if you were a kid on a giant size robot ship, that's what it would be like. It would be scary as hell.
The funny thing is, I think if you put the actress out in front of the, to show that she basically is the character, some of the, she's scrappy do thing goes away. Just because she's scrappy. Yeah, no, because seriously, personally, it's like, she can be a little scrappy do-ish in, certain episodes more than others. But, and then you see that, and it's like, well, now I love her and I love the character and whatever.
Right.
It's,
When I read that, the sort of criticism of having the kids on board, and again, it's part of the property, it's part of the franchise, sorry, I lost my train of thought. They never point out though, like again, we don't force them into every episode, or if they're in an episode, sometimes they're just simply reactive, and I think it's less of a kid entry point in a kid vid thing, but everybody at this table has lived with the Transformers lore for so long. We live and breathe this stuff, but less than kid entry point, it's a point of view to explain just some of the bizarre concepts in the Transformers universe. I mean, you don't want to take something like just to pluck something vector sigma and take it for granted. You know, you need, I think, those characters who provide an audience viewpoint, you know, to be questioned, like, what? It does what? You know?
Yeah.
Because it is, when you take a step back, all kind of very strange.
That said, the head Megatron episode was that
messed
made,
up?
Yeah, that made the series right there. Like any sort of question about where it was going. Thought that was
Cool.
awesome.
We felt that way too.
Yeah.
And that's not even the tip of the iceberg with what these
Yeah.
guys are. Not even close.
It gets weirder and
For me, it was, I mean, that part was awesome. For me, it was Predatory. For me, it was Arachnid.
Yeah,
Like, when I saw that episode, I mean, when I read that script, when I saw the animatic, and then when the animation came in, I was like, okay, we're making mini movies here. This is amazing.
Well, did you hear the cheers last night when Arachnid came?
Yep.
We you saw that we showed a little video, and I was really amazed at the round of loud applause when she was on the screen. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Bob, has this process made you want to work on any more animation, or do you think your dance card is pretty much full at the moment?
No, actually, it's made me hungry for more. This has been one of the more satisfying things we've done in a long time. You know, and people are like, why would you want to get back into the grind of TV? Well, first of all, with a team like this, it's not a grind. But you just get to do stuff, you know, that you just don't get to do anywhere else. It's a whole other ballgame.
There are no limits in animation.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, except for how many characters.
But, you know, I just want to say that those limits that come with it are actually, in a weird way, sort of liberating.
Yeah, you need them.
Yeah, I think it's harder to
More
have the
creative with
entire.
a limited palette.
Yeah. But,
Yeah,
Absolute
you know,
freedom is horrible.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Well, I mean, it's like I said out there. I mean, you know, you guys take it and you turn it into an opportunity. Like, because we get to spend so much more time with Starscream or Knockout or Megatron or RC or Ratchet that you just get to know these characters at a much more intimate level than you ever did in any previous incarnations.
Yeah. There's a lot of, you know, because of the limited number of characters, there's we wind up relying on intrigue and shifting alliances, more so in coming episodes, but never arbitrarily. It's like, you know, whenever we do a turn, you know, in the characters of the storyline, you know, it's sort of our internal rule. It's got to be meaningful, you know. So, yeah, we're pretty proud with what we've accomplished so far.
Cool.
Bob, I'm really excited about the Star Trek game that just got announced. We're finally going to be able to play as Kirk and Spock. I heard you're working on the game. Is that correct?
Yeah. And it's actually sort of in-universe continuity, ish.
Is it sort of an in-betweener between maybe the first film and the next film that's in the works?
Yeah, exactly. It could absolutely be that.
I've also heard rumors of a possible animated series for Star Trek. I don't know. I know it's just kind of been thrown out
we
there.
discussed it just kind of as like a what
What
if,
if?
but it hasn't gone any
Okay.
further than that. I don't know if they want to.
Cool.
We'll find out at some point. I'm curious, so I'll ask. Hey, what's going on? What's the story with the rights? And the
Sounds good.
But it's not. It's not a.
Semi-related question. You've recreated properties out of a lot of people's childhoods. So which, you know, again, you read the web and, you know, people freaking out either one way or the other. But as opposed to the convention experience versus the web, I mean, do you find people are as freaked out one way or the other when you actually meet them in person?
No, and no one's ever. Anyone I've ever met at a convention has been nothing but gracious and wonderful. You know, occasionally you'll get a genuine criticism in there, but it's always done absolutely respectfully. The web is a whole different world. You know, there I've been threatened.
For the panel, I would like each of you to say your favorite Transformers character, be it in any form, animation, toy, or any comic
I think we
ever.
already said that, didn't we?
Yeah.
We all said Ratchet. No, one more real question. No, I'm sorry. I
Well,
didn't know.
I'm also wondering from Mike and Bill.
Please.
Actually, it's Steve. And to answer your question, in the whole world of Transformers, actually, Hot Rod is my favorite.
Nice.
That 1986 movie was kind of epic for me. I cried, and even though it was sort of Hot Rod's fault that Optimus died, I still thought he was kind of awesome.
Not Rodimus Prime or Hot Rodimus. Or...
I liked him when he was Hot Rod. I liked him when
Yeah, I
Rodimus was
agree.
cool and all, but I liked him when he was Hot Rod.
It's got to be Bender doing the voice.
Now listen, I love them all.
That's why he's the president.
Safe answer.
On our show, I'm leaning towards Ratchet. I liked Prowl a lot when I was a kid. But on our show, I'd say it's between Ratchet, RC, Arachnid.
On our show,
Megatron.
Arachnid is actually.
On our show, I'm with RC.
RC or Ratchet or Starscream or Bulkhead.
They're all twins, babies. They're all twins, babies.
Can you see why I didn't want to answer this question?
Which kid do you love the best?
Yeah, exactly.
No, Arachnid is like. I mean, again, I think one of my favorite things about the show, being someone who's worked on on a lot of action shows, is awesome females. I mean, and not just the cool female. RC is arguably the best warrior on the Autobots team, and Arachnid came out of the gate just scary as hell. And like watching the two of them fight is probably my favorite thing in the world.
And just their history
Yeah.
that they have is great.
One more question, guys.
This is like a high stress show, right? There's like deadlines, stuff like that, kind of going on. You guys
Most TV is.
work
Let's just
late.
say
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a high stress show.
Okay.
TV is.
Yeah.
Once you're doing
Is
something right,
pain.
if it's high stress.
But I think every show is stressful. The thing that makes it worth it is not the creative product. Like when it turns out great, that's great and that's awesome. But the thing that really makes it worth it is working with awesome people. And I think the best thing
I
about
was gonna say
Prime-
what the best thing, what the most
Yeah,
rewarding
it's-
things. Do you guys play hijinks, tricks on each other, kind of mess around, have fun?
We have Nerf wars.
Cool.
But I'd rather work with these people than with the finest people in the world.
That is the nicest, most awful thing I've ever said.
There you go.
Wait a minute. That means we're not the finest people. Thank you.
It's a strawberry shortcake.
I'll tell you, there would probably be a way to phone this in if the shows weren't turning out as well as they do. So like for me, it's like, another week I got to kill myself again because that bar is raised and
Yeah.
you can't let
Yeah,
down.
well, and even the arguments are arguments between everybody who's passionate about the show. I mean, to your point, it's like, well, no, this character should talk, this character shouldn't, we have to do this. No, this is the way it needs to be. I mean, like, with all of us, including Rhode Island, including Polygon, even the arguments and the stress that happens is because everybody actually loves the show and has a sense of ownership, which is what you want on any series you work on, and particularly with animation, that everybody at every single level feels like they are contributing to the show, which makes them all work at 120%.
Nice. Cool.